Most people build multi-step forms in Power Apps using separate screens, but that gets messy fast. In this video, I'll show you how to use tabs to keep everything in one clean layout and control what shows up based on the tab selected. Our goal today is to build a form that keeps everything on one screen using tabs to switch between sections. For our user journey, each tab reveals a different set of controls. No need for multiple screens or complex navigation. For the database, all the form data gets saved to a SharePoint list called employee form data. And we're not going to include any automations for today's app. Let's start building. We're going to start in a Power App. In this Power App, I already have containers with a header built and containers with each section of my form that I want to have tabs for. So I have a personal information container, a job details container, and a preferences container. Each of these containers is how we're going to control what's visible with our tabs. So starting up here in my tab list container, I'm going to click on the plus button and I'm going to search for tab, and you'll want to go ahead and use the tab list input. Once you insert that tab list input, you can see that you can connect it to a data source in your app, or you can go ahead up here in the top properties bar. You can go ahead and write in each of the different tab names that you'd like. I'll go ahead and add in the personal info, job details, and preferences tabs. Once I've added the text in here, you can see that it's begun to add that text into the tabs. We need to make sure that our tab control is the same width as our container here. So in order to do this, I'm going to scroll to the width property and select that here. And instead of hard coding this value 280, I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to use the parent.width option. And I can see that the container is spilling over a bit to the right. In order to fix that here, I'll come up into my tab list container and I'll change the left and right padding here to 0. And now you can see that my tab list control fills up the entire width. Now we need to go ahead and add in code here so that each of our form containers only shows when certain tabs are selected. I'm going to go ahead and select my personal info container, and in the properties dropdown, I'm going to go to the visible property, and by default, your container visible property is set to true. This means the controls within that container will always be visible. And instead, I'm going to double click and delete this, and we're going to put the name of our tab control. So that's tab list 1. And we're going to say dot and use the selected property. And we'll put one more dot and add the value property here. And we'll say that once this is equal to, and we'll use quotes, personal info. And here, all I need to do is add the exact same text that appears in my tab control. I'll go ahead and use the shortcut Control A and Control C to copy this. And we'll apply this to each of our other form containers, and we'll just change this equals to value. So I'll select the job details container, come down to the properties dropdown, select visible, and Control V to paste. And instead of personal info, this is going to be our job details. And then we'll come to our preferences container, scroll down to the visible property, delete the true value, paste, and change this to the last name of my tab. Now you can see in the preview here that only our personal information container is showing. We can go ahead and click the play button to preview the app, and we can test out each of our different tabs here, and we can see our forms populate with just the questions for that tab list container. You can exit out of the preview, and now you have a Power App where your form questions update based on tab selection. If you want more tips like this for Power Apps and for the rest of the Power Platform, subscribe to Playbook. We have videos coming like this every other week.